Hi, my name is Mathias. I am a lawyer by training, so in some way, shape, or form, a bit out of place at a developers conference. But I spoke at this conference last year, and I really enjoyed it, just meeting a lot of interesting people. And when I was asked to come and present again, I thought it was a good opportunity to join this event again. Just meeting interesting people, learning about new topics. And yeah, this time around, I brought my colleague, Adrian. We're working together on a legal tech project, and I'll let Adrian introduce himself.
My name's Adrian Stewart. This is my first time here. I haven't been to one of the developer conferences before. I have been working with Mathias on our new product. It's been an interesting visit so far, some interesting talks.
So later today we'll be presenting on the topic which we've coined from timesheets to agents. It's probably a little bit surprising to tech people, but lawyers write timesheets every day. They spend a lot of time doing that. Clients are very particular about what those timesheets need to look like. And for me as a lawyer who's done this for a long time, it always eluded me why I have to sit in front of a computer all day, only to then at the end of the day tell the computer what I had done. And that's exactly what we're working on. We're trying to fix that problem. Just do your work, and we'll create the timesheet for you. And why the talk is named From Timesheets to Agents, to us, it's this incredible opportunity that sits there and nobody seems to have recognized it yet, where essentially you have people who give you a detailed description of what they do every day. And it's not only one person or five, it's basically an entire industry. So to harness that information and make that usable for AI technology seems to be a really interesting project, because when we look at where models fail, they're really good at coding, but they don't necessarily have structure. They don't necessarily have process, and that's really where the next big wins could be. And that's what we're working towards, making lives easier for lawyers, and along the way, unlocking that kind of process data which we're looking to harness in applying, LLM tools in the legal practice. You've had a lot of experience now with using coding tools in building our data, our code base. What's that been like?
So my background is non-development. I've been working in various fields before I ended up taking up this job. I used to code many years ago in the 1990s, at the beginning of this sort of AI journey, but I relearned during the pandemic. And essentially at the moment, I'm probably more of a junior developer. And using these new coding tools, I am able to produce an awful lot of functional code that has been able to be pushed into production incredibly quickly. The scope of our project is quite large. It's quite complex. Using the new tools that we have available to us at the moment has been very enlightening. They are creative, problem solving. I have been using an awful lot of Claude code to be able to develop the code that we're using. And often I'll be able to have multiple agents running at the same time, producing more than one piece of functionality at any one time. Extremely good, very powerful. They make mistakes from time to time, and they still require an element of human interaction to make sure that everything is working correctly. Not least that your prompting may not describe the problem accurately enough, so it can take a little bit of massaging, a bit of back and forth. But yeah, working very well so far.
I'm sure there's also that learning curve, right? To learn how to, I suppose that's prompt engineering in the end, to learn how to describe the problem in the most accurate way so that
so I found
the thing gets there.
It's not necessarily about the description, but about how you break the problem down. If I give a problem in too large a chunk, the agents seem to get a little bit confused about what they need to do. Also, for them to integrate the feature that I'm trying to build into the rest of the code gets hard because it has to pull in so much context to try and understand what I'm doing. So breaking the problem down, I mean, it's a traditional coding issue, you break it down into smaller parts, but breaking the problem down so the agent can do each bit, and making sure that those parts that you are building are logically one after the other seems to be a great way of making sure that they work, and they work reasonably intelligently, at least so far.
How do you break that down? Do you do that pen and paper, where you sketch it out, or do you?
So mostly there is a conversational aspect to using these tools. You are going through a planning stage. As you go through the planning stage, you learn what the problem is, and you see that it's getting bigger and bigger. And eventually you may cut back and say, no, actually, let's just focus on this first part. So there are points where I'll say, okay, come up with a plan for the full system, but then what we were going to do is we're just going to focus on this first part. And then we focus on that. Sometimes that one also then blows up and becomes big, and then we'll focus back down. But breaking the problems down into smaller chunks has made these LLM tools work, incredibly well. I've been working with the company for, I think, 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. I have not written a lot of code myself in that period of time.
Well, yeah, and I mean that Microsoft integration, that took, what, like 2 weeks?
Yeah. Well, it would have taken eight working days, I think, to do in total. We are trying to link in the Microsoft 365 cloud platform into our platform, so we need to be able to log in, user management, etc. Quite a big task just in that, even before we start pulling down the data. But yeah, done pretty quickly, and also to an incredibly high standard. We have a senior developer that works with us who essentially checks all my work as we go. And he has put in a very good structure of the code underneath. And that structure, a very logical structure, very well broken down, very modular, has allowed the LLM to be able to pull the context that it needs in to understand without bringing in huge amounts of code. And that has worked really well. I think the structure is one of the main reasons we've been able to progress so quickly with what we've been working with.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that grow and flourish over the last few weeks. It's just been amazing to see. And I mean, I've been doing a lot of demos to clients and just getting some of that feedback. And even when things fail during a demo, taking that, bringing that back, and seeing you guys kind of fix that up, like in less than 24 hours, has been it's just been incredible. I mean, if I compared that to the last company I was at, where I think after 4 years there's still no functioning prototype. It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, very much allowed by these new tools. I think as a startup, obviously resources are limited, time is limited, and we have to meet certain benchmarks reasonably quickly. These tools have allowed that to happen in a way that we would not have been able to do 6 months ago, a year ago. Absolutely not.
And actually, that is something that I hadn't previously thought about necessarily, but I'm looking forward. I mean, building integrations into the systems that clients use, about like ERPs and things like that, I would expect that to go reasonably in a similar direction, right? Because that should be quite structured. I mean, those are very established systems, so to be able to, they should have well-defined endpoints. So maybe that task that's sort of been, looming there and in the abstract worryingly. So maybe it's not actually going to be such a big problem.
We shall see. It'll be interesting to see when the code base expands, how well this keeps working. The underlying mechanisms for these agents are such that it may miss context when they're trying to pull in context to understand what the code is. So as our code base expands, it'll be interesting to see how well this works. But at least at the size and scale we're at the moment, it does work very well. So we shall see. But I think the sort of modularity of how we're building this means that we should be able to only
the relevant chunk.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Any more questions?
Okay, you guys talk a little bit more about how you use Google services or Gemini AI and stuff to help you to handle the stuff and such.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not going to get into the whole pipeline, how our system works, but there's a multi-step process, and we're using Gemma to basically process screenshots. And that's been working incredibly well, really out of the box, to extract information from the screenshots and to actually interpret what's going on, taking sequences of screenshots and feeding them into the model as such and extracting sort of context from that. It's just been remarkable how that's just been working out of the box. No fine tuning, no any sort of.
So Gemma do the OCR, that kind of stuff to recognize the text and the context for you?
We're doing two things. So OCR is one aspect. We're doing that on the side, and we're taking that text and we're taking the screenshots together and feeding both of those. And that has just been working magically well.
By using Gemma, right?
Yeah.
But also the structural output of the OCR. So we're not just getting the text, but we're getting it out in a structured format that we can then use later on. So it's well.
Excel table with columns and rows?
JSON
Database.
We're getting JSON output, absolutely. And it's almost always well-structured JSON that we get out that we can then process further down the line.
For the data analytics and stuff?
Yeah, we're doing a whole bunch of work with the data we're extracting. But also it understands the context of what that data is in as well. So it understands that data is within a Outlook window or a browser window or whatever. So we can get that sort of more contextual understanding of the data.
And we were talking about this earlier, right? I mean, we're at DevFest, and essentially everybody here has either a keen interest in AI or a lot of experience with it or is starting out. So this group here is probably not quite aware how little people know outside of this space. And actually to go into a law firm and to talk to these lawyers who find it so incredibly painful to write these timesheets manually, and to show them a system which basically almost like magic recognizes what's happening on screen is just incredible. Like the looks on people's faces are like, oh wow, that's amazing.